Hello, 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 DPS families. Hope all is well on this beautiful, beautiful Wednesday. Welcome to Family Academy's Lunch and Learn series. My name is Greg Jones, Family Engagement Coordinator, and we have a wonderful, wonderful show for you all today. Today I have the privilege to have advanced academics on the call with us today to just provide guidance and support and information about DPS, Advanced Academics, AIG services here. So, we only have a short time today. Want to make sure you all have opportunity to get a little lunch in as you are viewing. Just want to jump right in. We have Miss Laura Parrott and Miss Yamel Anderson Ruff. So, you all, thank you so much for helping us out. And can you all tell us a little bit about yourselves and a little bit about advanced academics?
Yes, great. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who's joining us today. I am Laura Parrott, Director of Advanced Academics. I have been with Durham Public Schools. In January, it will be 7 years, and have been very committed to being a part of the Advanced Academics Department. Before we go into Advanced Academics, I do want our coordinator to introduce herself.
Good afternoon. I am Yamel Anderson Ruff, Coordinator of Advanced Academics for Durham Public Schools. I'm a career educator, and I have served Durham Public Schools since 2013 as a middle school teacher, as a principal intern, and as assistant principal of instruction, as well at a high school. So it's great to be here with you today.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So one of the things we do want to begin by sharing is that sometimes we use the term AIG, which stands for academically and or intellectually gifted, and sometimes we use the term advanced academics. The reason we prefer to use advanced academics is that encompasses all students that we work with, because our office does begin working with children in kindergarten. So our kindergartners, our first graders, and our second graders across Durham Public Schools all receive services from our office. So that's huge to us. We want to make sure that we are cultivating what we call talent development, so that academic talent development, and that we're helping them think in a critical lens, helping them think creatively in ways that perhaps they don't do in some of the more traditional courses. And then as we move into it, we continue not just to identify students, but to continue to work with what we call nurturing students. So students that we include in our services. So using the term advanced academics is really important to us. But advanced academics is, like we said, it's a K-12 program. It's here to make sure that all students are recognized for their academic potential. We are helping our teachers, reframe their lens, being able to work closely with students so that we can meet all of their academic needs.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, great explanation overall. And, K-12 program, that's wonderful. And, I also, of course, in the background in education, and right now, well, actually at all levels, primarily elementary school as far as the teacher is concerned. Um, how do the services look, in elementary school, middle school, high school? How does it look? Is there a difference between, what can parents expect?
Great. Thank you so much. Yes. So at the elementary level, we'll start there. So as we were sharing with our kindergarten, first grade, and second grade students, all of our students receive services because we believe that every child has potential, and we're there to continue to foster that. Toward the end of second grade, we do begin to formally identify students as academically and intellectually gifted. We'll talk about the identification process in a little bit. Once students are identified, either formally, they've been through the identification process, or they have just been identified through the recognition of them needing advanced learning opportunities. Then the AIG specialists at all of the schools do work with them in various ways. Sometimes they go into the classroom, and we call that a push-in service, where they may work with a group of students in a small group in the back of the room, or they may work collaboratively with the teacher and enrich all of the students in the room. We also have what's called a pull-out service, and that's the one most people are familiar with. That is when the students do leave their classroom so that they can go and get instruction that is above grade level, so that they're pushing them academically. There are other ways. Sometimes if there's a child, there may be a mentorship, there may be just a conference model with a student if they are twice exceptional, which means they've been identified both as having an exceptional learning need as well as a talent in the academic area. So that's kind of how it looks at the elementary school. And I'm going to let Yamel share middle and high school.
So in the middle school, generally, our students who are identified as having a need for advanced learning, or those who excel in a specific subject, would be served through their honors courses. And so we have honors level courses in the middle school. Some students also need to be pushed even further, and some schools may offer high school credit in some areas. Okay, so students who are advanced enough, who have exhausted the middle school curriculum, may be able to earn high school credit in an area. There are also opportunities for advanced learning in electives or during discovery and extracurricular activities, or a student may be at a school that's an IB school. For instance, Shepherd is an IB middle school, and they may have some advanced learning opportunities through that program. In high school, our students can also experience advanced learning opportunities through, again, honors level courses, advanced placement or AP level courses, where a student would have a rigorous curriculum and the opportunity to earn college credit through the AP exam. We also have the IB program, the middle years program, and the diploma program at Hillside High School, where students can also get an accelerated curriculum. Students also, there's so many opportunities for our students in high school, and sometimes it does vary per high school, as you can tell, or middle school. We also have the College and Career Promise program, where students can take courses at the university or college level, whether it's Durham Tech. NC State has a program where students could take a class. So there's some opportunity there for students to earn college credit directly, or maybe even they might want to earn an associate's degree before, or a certification program. So there's some CTE opportunities as well for students, whether it's an internship or a completer course, or a specialized program that's housed at a specific school. So those are the specialty areas, whether it's engineering, Software, sustainability, on and on and on, culinary, those types of things are offered at our schools, at our high schools.
So quick question, just to follow up for our families out here. Some may not be familiar with the IB program. What exactly,
So
is that?
IB is International Baccalaureate Program, and it's an international, just like it says, an international program. And what it does is it provides students with language opportunities. It starts in elementary school. So Burton Elementary School is a primary years program with the IB. Students then matriculate to Shepherd Middle School for IB, and then on to Hillside. So there's a language component, there's a community service component, and the curriculum is taught to students through a global lens, right, as global citizens, and wanting them to be competitive and just have a mind frame that is outside of their community, their local community, but is a global type of perspective. and it is a rigorous curriculum, and there are requirements that students have to fulfill in order to complete the diploma program.
Okay, and one more question, and this may just be personally for me as my children are matriculating through school. So, if my child was not in an IB program in elementary and middle school, is could that be an option for them as they're going to high school?
Absolutely. That's an excellent question. I'm so glad you asked that. And that's why one of the strengths of Durham Public Schools is that we're a school choice district. So you can access that pathway through the magnet. And so, yes, a student can access the IB program and IB curriculum despite not having gone to an IB elementary or middle school.
Okay, and listen, I just have one more question. In this lane, want to make sure that families are real clear. So, and you all actually may be getting to this a little later. I may be jumping the gun. If I am, excuse me. But as far as the advanced classes in high school that you spoke about earlier, as we're talking about the differences between elementary, middle, and high, does my child have to be identified as an AIG student to access at AP classes in high school?
Absolutely not. And that's one way that we continue to nurture students throughout their career once they get to middle and high school. So students do not have to be identified as an AIG student receiving services to access honors or AP courses. What they do have to do is meet the prerequisites. So for instance, if we're talking about calculus, right, you would have to have taken the courses that lead up to calculus in order to take that course. But you don't have to be identified as an AIG student to access that. Okay. What we really recommend students do is to pursue those advanced level courses, not just in areas that they do well in, because sometimes students do well in classes or subject areas, but they're not interested in it, but also to be able to pursue their interests so that then that rigorous curriculum connects to their goals. And so being able to look at their goals, their future goals, and seeing which courses align with those goals, that is the best path for our students. So great question.
Thank you so much. So as we're talking about at the high school level, access to those AP classes and honors classes, and they may or where they do not have to be, identified as AIG. But how are students nominated for identification? How does that part work?
Great. Thank you so much. So, for identification, we do start looking at the elementary level. However, a child can be identified at any level. We still identify at middle school, we can still identify at high school. And I think that's been a misconception over the years that this was only an elementary identification program. We have so many students who enter Durham Public Schools in the 9th grade who have been in another school district, who have been in another setting. And so it's a great opportunity for us to continue to constantly look at students. But for identification, we look beginning toward the end of 2nd grade, and we have multiple pathways that students can be identified in. They do not have to have multiple testing data, right? It's not multiple hoops to jump through. We don't have multiple barriers in place. We do look at 2 pieces of criteria. And so for that, we have one area is the achievement. And we do look at nationally normed tests. So we use something called the Iowa Test of Basic Skills. We use another test called the Woodcock-Johnson. We have other tests that we use, and that's a national norm to help us look at our students. However, we also use an aptitude test. Now, that's not the same as an IQ test. The aptitude test that we use is really looking at learned school ability. So kind of the the thinking of how is a child looking at and when we say a puzzle, sometimes they are visual puzzles. As far as analogies, they're mathematical analogies, there's verbal analogies. So we also have a component that's there. We also have performance. And so that is using our EOGs, our EOCs, using our beginning of the year test. We build student portfolios because what we recognize is that many students do not always do well on a standardized test. We get that. Sometimes students get really nervous. They've got the capability, but the nerves kick in, that time limit, and we don't always see what they're truly capable of doing. So we have implemented the portfolios. That way teachers can capture throughout the year what they see on a daily basis. We do have a way that parents can contribute to that. There's an advocacy piece that's from home that can be added to it. So multiple ways. So ongoing is a review of data at the school level. And that's not just by the AIG specialist. That is often by the administration. They too are looking at every student to see how they're performing. The teaching and learning coaches are constantly reviewing, as well as our ESL teachers. One of the things that we have really been very intentional about is making sure that AIG specialists are partnering with the ESL teachers at the school and asking them to please review the students that they work with. Is there a student that we have not yet recognized because there is a barrier in language? So who do you work with who you are seeing great strengths and talents in students' native language so that we can make sure we're tapping into them as well? Parents can nominate students if they are not automatically nominated through school data. So the data is the big piece. That's the one that kind of pushes us along for automatic nominations. But like we said, anyone can nominate. A child can nominate themselves. Students can nominate one another's, community members. Yeah, so it is wide open. And so on our website, the form is there. Parents can click on it, they can fill it out, and we can begin to look at a student more closely if that child is not yet already on what we say, our radar.
Thank you. So I'm certainly happy that we have this great relationship with Advanced Academics. We've worked together before, in presenting information to parents, in Durham. And since we, last talked and last presented to parents, what new initiatives is going on in the department that, support students and families in schools?
That's a great question. We last year when we spoke in the spring to Family Academy, right after that, I also spoke with PAC. And out of both of those, and Epic, oh gosh, there were 3 in a row, I believe. Anyway, out of all of those community conversations, one of the things that we kept hearing was the need for growing a more diverse staff of teachers who are working with advanced students. So that's not just at the elementary level and the middle school level, but looking at our teachers who teach our IB classes, who teach our AP, our advanced placement classes. So from that, we have started a program. It's called TAP, which stands for Teachers Advancing Potential. And in TAP, it's a year-long course that we have advertised for. We've just started. And teachers are working through this so that they are learning more about how to recognize potential in all students. Because what we know is that there are students who sometimes may have some behaviors that kind of mask their advanced learning needs. And helping teachers, what we say, reframe their lens so that they are looking past some of those behaviors and recognizing that students with advanced learning needs are not always the students in the class who come well prepared, who always have their homework, who always have perfect grades. So how do we look past that? It's also helping teach our help us teach our teachers how to meet the needs of students with advanced learning needs. So how to truly differentiate instruction so that all students are getting that appropriate challenge that they need. So when we started advertising for this course in September, we kind of had fingers crossed that we would get 40 teachers because we had purchased 40 sets of books for this course. And we are excited to say we had 92 teachers across the district apply. We had 60 elementary, 16 middle, and 16 high school. And not all of them are classroom teachers. Some of them are EC teachers. Some are the school's technology coach, or they are the school's teaching and learning coach. So it has been incredible. We had so many, we had to split our sessions up. But like our first session was a good 3 hours. We even had a Saturday session. And teachers did not want to stop talking. And after it, the reflections that they gave us were very powerful. It was, within just this one session, you have completely changed the way I view students. You make me realize I need to start everything that I've been doing all over again, helping me see that I'm not always looking toward the right students to find potential, that I need to reframe my lens. So that's been enormous for us. Like I said, elementary, middle, and high school. As a matter of fact, we've had 3 people this week reach out to, is it too late? Is there any way we can get in? Because we've heard such positive things. So that's been a huge initiative for us. And the diversity of the staff is tremendous. We're so excited because that's what we wanted. We wanted teachers from some of our schools in which there are not a good number of students identified. And those are the schools where our teachers are jumping in and saying, yes, I want to know more. Help me reframe my lens. Help me look at those equitable identification practices, and help me look at how to really foster talent development in all students. So kindergarten through 12th grade.
That's wonderful. And that's so good to hear this approach from, to all of our families, all of our kids, all of our teachers, this equitable approach. And that's the same thing we do here in Family Academy as well, in family engagement. We want to make sure that great information is accessible to all of our families to help, support their kids' academic needs, whatever those needs may be. So, just thank you so much for that.
Oh, yes. Thank y'all, because y'all are part of the initiative to make us push this initiative forward, right? It's something we had been thinking about and wanting to do. And really the feedback and that strong desire from community members to see it happen is what really made it happen. So thank y'all for your support.
No problem. So, just in this initial conversation that we're having here on this broadcast, there is so much information, and there's so, parents, information is coming at them, from the left, from the right, north, south, east, west, all that stuff. So how can parents gain access to information related to advanced academics? The forms, question and answer, Q&A stuff, where can a parent go to get the help that they need?
Yes. So Yamel and I are both going to answer this question together. I'm going to start by this summer, we created an advanced academics website. And this website is not just for students or for parents who already have an identified child. It is for every child. It is for every family in the district. So I noticed that Greg has just put one of the pages up on the screen. So when you go to our welcome page, there it is. When you go to the welcome page, you will immediately see 3 icons. There's a family, parents and family, there's educators, there's students. Because like we said, this website is for everyone. So if you click on that first icon, that family and parent one, this is where parents are going to be able to go and find, hopefully, all of the resources that they're looking for. And if the resource is not there, it's definitely going to give them the direction in which to go. So as you can see on here, we have multiple things. How to advocate for your child. What is the equitable course placement? So as Yamel was talking about earlier, our honors, our AP, dual enrollment, IB, that's not just for identified students. That's for students who have the motivation, the will, the want to get into classes and move forward. Also on here, there's a great it's a parenting articles, advice, strategies. And we constantly update that with multiple resources that parents can look at. Some of them are academic, some of them are social and emotional, looking at the amount of time students spend on the internet. How do I help my middle child? What is temper tantrums all about? So it's kind of an all wide range. But on the row that we're looking at right now in the dark green, there is the identification button. And that will allow parents to go to thanks, that's perfect. Lets them see a little more about the identification so that they can look at exactly what the criteria is. The criteria is the same, 2nd through 12th grade, except that in high school, there are a few additional opportunities for high school students, such as we're trying not to keep testing. So if they already have a score on an advanced placement test, an AP exam, we can use that. If they're in the top 10% of their class, we can use that. So multiple other things. But as you will see on here, there is also the direct link to the nomination form that parents, family members, community members, anyone can click on, complete. And then elsewhere on our site is a list of all of the AIG specialists by schools, so that if a parent is not sure of who to send it to or who their specialist is, it is on there. So Greg, if you don't mind going back to the main family page for just a moment. And then if you look at, there's one at the very top that says College Board. If you'll click on that.
Let's see here.
Should be the last one. No, I'm sorry. The icons that are on here, the green, orange, red, blue. On the end of that first row, do you see it that says College Board? Yes.
Yes.
Click on that. And Yamel, if you want to share with them what we have on this page.
So on this page, we have lots of information for students and families about advanced placement courses. So if you're not sure about whether or not you or your child would be interested in AP courses, this is a great way to kind of gather some information to see what AP courses are available. There are resources there for students who are currently taking AP courses. Another place that you can also look, and one thing I do want to mention is that the link to get to advanced academics is not just on our Durham Public Schools website, but there's a button as well on individual school sites that can take you to this information. So College Board is the agency that kind of license our AP courses. And so this part of our website takes you to resources from College Board. Okay.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, thank you all for actually, this website, great resources for our families and for our district staff as well. So when we in accessing this, what would be the quickest way for families to access this information? Would it be from the page on their school or from our district webpage?
Either one, I think. So it's listed in both places. So if a family is more accustomed to going to their school's website, there's an advanced academics button. Sometimes it's on that front page, sometimes it's under parents. So if you go to your school's website and you go to parents, then there's a button that says advanced academics. And then when you go to the advanced academics page on Durham Public Schools website, then you can also see you scroll to the bottom and it will link you to this information as well. So it just depends on preference.
All right, thank you so much. And, families, at any time, if you need assistance with this, there are AIG teachers and facilitators at all our schools that already have relationships with the families there. So reach out to them, more than willing to support. And I know Ms. Parrott and Ms. Anderson Ruff, they're also available to provide support as well. This is definitely something, as a district, that we want to make sure that we meet the needs of every single student. And AIG services, and I think you all have said this before, it's not just for identified AIG students, but these are strategies and resources that can help all of our kids perform at a higher level with academics. So, thank you all so much for that. Our time here is, dwindling down here. And I do have a couple more questions here before we see if we have any questions from our audience today on our Facebook Live channel. But sometimes parents feel so responsible for preparing kids for the next level. And as a parent, I understand that, rightfully so. So, is there anything I can do as a parent or parents can do to help prepare their child for the identification process?
So just like a parent would help their child daily with homework, with projects, continuing to read with them, continuing to not just read with them, but have meaningful conversation about what you're reading. Often, we see parents and students reading together, and they're reading the words on the page, and then the book is closed. We really want to encourage parents to ask those questions, such as, wow, what does this remind you of in another story we read? Or how does this connect to something in our lives or something you've seen in the movies or on the news? Because our process for identification is about academic achievement. The same way that we work with kids to prepare them throughout the year for an end of grade test, for a unit test, for an end of course test, we recommend that parents just continue that. Another thing is, it's really hard to prepare for identification because it is part of ongoing instruction, ongoing assessment that's happening within the classroom, but not just for identification, but for ongoing curriculum, instruction, and learning. Is any experience that a child can be exposed to, giving them that opportunity. And sometimes it's even a trip to the grocery store. It's asking questions. It's asking them to compare. Is it better to buy these 6 little packages of goldfish or this big container? And making them have to stop and reason it out. These are the things that sometimes we in our own minds are doing, but we forget to model out loud for students. So that is very helpful.
Thank you. So through our conversation here, in particular, when you're talking about the different ways that kids can be nominated for the process, suppose my teacher does not nominate my student. Suppose they go through the process and things didn't work out the way I thought that they should as a parent. What are the rights as a parent I have in regards to the AIG identification and services? What can I do?
Yeah, because parents are a huge part of this. I mean, we talk about that partnership. So if a child has been tested, and let's say the child has performed really well all year in the classroom, I mean, fantastic, and they take a standardized test and they don't do well on it, a parent has the right to say, you know what, I don't think my child did very good on this. What other tests are available? Are they in services? Is there something else that I can do? And so always beginning at that school level and talking to the AIG specialist, because what we say is one single data point, so one single test should not keep a child out of services or keep a child out of the identification process. Just a snapshot of a child on one day. So we do want them to be able to go back and look at all of the, when we say the data sources, so how are they participating in the classroom? What does their daily work look like? What have test scores? What has academic growth looked like throughout the year? There is an appeals process, and that is if a child had, and I'll be honest, we have not had this situation, but it's if a child did score at the criteria level and they were not recognized. We have, that's to just say, we've never had that problem. That has to be set. That's according to our legislation in North Carolina. Luckily, we have so many different eyes observing and noticing what's happening that we've never had that, you know.
Well, that's great.
We're the opposite, right? We're the ones who cheer every time a child is able to get in, or if they don't quite make it in, we're advocating to get them in services. But there is also the process if you feel that your child is not getting the services that they are due because of that AIG identification.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
on our
you so
website
much.
as well.
Perfect. So, as far as my questions, that's all I have for today. I would like to just pause for a few minutes. If there are any questions from people who are viewing this on our Facebook page, if you have any questions, please post those questions in the chat on Facebook, and we'll a few minutes here before we close things out. Yeah, and I just want to again thank you all. I think this was very informative for our families, and this broadcast will be available to parents and families who this time may not have worked for them, but it'll be available on our Facebook page and eventually on our website as well.
So,
Go
Greg,
ahead.
are there any questions? If not, I was going to share one more thing with families.
Great. Go ahead and share.
Yeah, so one of the things that we do want to make sure that everyone is aware of, and it's on our website as well, but the state of North Carolina issued what they call a call to action about 3 years ago. And it's critical actions to recognize and to achieve equity and excellence. And so how are we helping our families, our educators, even our students shift their mindsets and also shift policies and practices so that we can achieve both equity and excellence? There are 6 actions within this call to action. The first one is reframe your lens. And that's a lot of the work that our office has been doing over the past 2-3 years in partnership with the Office of Equity Affairs. So that's been wonderful, making sure that people, like we said earlier, are really knowing what to look for when they're looking for gifted or advanced behaviors. We talk about utilizing equitable identification practices, which we've been working with our portfolios, but how are we going to continue to make sure that we aren't missing any children? We look at how are we including a different range of services at all of our schools so that, again, we're hitting children who need all of not just building the potential, but then recognizing it and responding to it. Action 4 is fostering talent development, and that's K-12. That's making sure at our middle school level and our high school level that we have students and classes that are capable of being in there because they want to be in there. We're fostering them to have that continual learning process. Doesn't matter if they're identified or not. And then 5 and 6, 5 is collect and use meaningful data. So not just achievement data, but perception data. And that's when we have these sessions with the community and we listen to what is being said. How do we use that data to reform our program so that it is continuing to be in alignment with equity and excellence? And then the last critical action is providing intentional professional learning opportunities, which is part of our TAP, our Teachers Advancing Potential program. So just so families know, these are the 6 things that guide everything that we do. Whenever we make a movement, we really look to see, is it aligned with those 6 critical actions? If not, we're not using it. If it is, we're plowing ahead, full steam ahead with it.
All right. Look, I love it when a plan comes together. All right. So, did not have any questions on our Facebook page for you all today. I think you all did a great job with presenting information and engaging in this conversation about AIG. And I want to thank you all for taking time out of your day to spend time with Family Academy. And just want to thank our Family Academy project manager, Althea Scriven, who is behind the scenes monitoring things right now. But I certainly want to give her a shout out as we are partners in this work of engaging families. So thank you all so much, ladies, for your time. I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful day. DPS families who are logged on, thank you so much for coming on. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you all so much. And
Wonderful. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
all
Thank
right.
you.
Bye bye, you all.
Bye.